5 that just says brand new atheist in Findlay, Ohio. Are you there?
Hi. Can you hear me all right?
We can, thank you.
Awesome. Well, I never really thought I'd be calling the Atheist Experience. It's glad to finally come around to it. I'm like my title says, I'm basically a new atheist, but I still have a few Christian residue, I guess you could say. You know, I still have a few ideas I'm trying to work through.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty common.
I'll try to make it. I'll try to make it quick because I know you guys are on a schedule. But basically, I guess a lot of the things I hear from atheists, like when I was a Christian, you know, I would try to evangelize to my atheist friends, you know, about God, and most of the time they would be like, well, I don't believe in the unicorns or fairies or the flying spaghetti monster. Mm-hmm. And you know, I've heard this from quite a few atheists, and as I'm branching out and learning more about it, I see that a lot of atheists have this type of response, and you know, I'll be reading some posts from atheists, and I'll hear them say things like we're if you're an atheist, you don't believe this or that, you know.
Well, like what? Because so far as I can tell, if you're an atheist, the only thing you have in common with other atheists is that you don't believe in God. There are plenty of irrational atheists out there who aren't skeptics, who buy into all kinds of pseudoscience and woo, and the people who say you're only an atheist if you believe X, Y, Z, they're bizarrely wrong.
Yeah, that's no true.
It's a no true Scotsman fallacy, and actually I'll go ahead and say this here because I'm not beholden to anybody. The current or recent vice president of the Center for Inquiry, his name's Tom Flynn, and he'll occasionally post on the blog, and we'll disagree with him. He's a cantankerous curmudgeon, and he doesn't like Christmas and all this other stuff, and that's all, you know, well and good. That's his prerogative. But he made a blog post recently criticizing people who went to Sunday Assembly or Oasis. These, by the way, are essentially gathering services. They've been called church-like or atheist church. It's just a bunch of people who like to get together and do that sort of thing where they might listen to somebody or sing a song or whatever else. And he made a blog post saying that these people aren't really secular. And I think that he should resign over this, because I'd rather not see a prominent member of a prominent organization that's part of the secular community making pronouncements about who is or isn't properly secular, especially if they're completely fucking wrong, as Tom is.
Because that, you know, that's what religions do. Religions are the ones that say, here is your list of dogma, here are your lists, here is your list of proper behaviors that you must adhere to if you want to be part of the club. And if you don't do these things, or if you do the other thing, you can't be in the club.
Yeah, Sunday Assembly, Oasis.
It's like that. I mean, you know, that's. In fact, aren't we supposed to be free thinkers?
He would hope so.
We're supposed to encourage these sorts of, you know, differences in terms. There's no real. You start policing other people's atheism and say, "Sorry, you're atheisting wrong." No.
The only time I ever go to Sunday Assembly or Oasis is when I've been asked to come there as a speaker, because that sort of environment is not for me, but it is for other people. And there's no way I could say, you're not sufficiently secular, you're stuck in the trappings of religion. No, religions co-opted aspects of humanity. Yes. Religions co-opted culture and community and tried to claim that it's theirs. And I am exceedingly proud of organizations like Oasis and Sunday Assembly for taking that back and saying, you know, you don't get to have that. That's about us as people. This is not a church thing. And even if it's not your thing, it's not my thing, it's somebody's thing. And Yes, I'm livid about this particular issue because we have a lot of people who are new, who are finding their way out of religions, and there are support organizations like Recovering from Religion, which does a good job. There's a secular therapist project. There are more and more therapists beginning to recognize what's been called religious trauma syndrome, that people's long-term indoctrination into religious beliefs, once they find their way out, causes harm. They lose their social circles. They're sometimes cut off from their family. But the fact that you're going to disparage someone because they might want to hang out with other people and sing a song and listen to somebody talk because you think it's a little about too much like church, I'll tell you this, Tom Flynn's definitely secular, but he's not a very good humanist.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks. I like that response. I guess another thing where I shared what a lot of atheists would respond to when I would ask the question, if you believe in God. When we got on that subject, they would mostly say the same thing. Well, I don't believe in unicorns, so and so. And I got to thinking, well, if someone asks me what 2 plus 2 is, I'm going to keep answering them 4. I'm not going to change my answer. And I guess I'm trying to scale that up to the over ideas that the general ideas that atheists share. Are they that concrete, like 2 plus 2 equaling 4? Therefore, you can't really give another answer. You're just got to keep kind of reinforcing it. Are you following me at all?
I'm not sure if I'm following you. What I'd say is that atheism isn't the position there are no gods necessarily that's contained within it. Atheism is the position of I don't believe any of the God claims. And so that's why you get answers about fairies and other, because they're trying to show examples how the various God claims are no more justified with supporting evidence and argument than any supernatural claim or anything else. As a matter of fact, while I don't actually believe that there are in fact intelligent aliens elsewhere in the universe, what I believe is that the universe is huge and that it would be arrogant for us to presume that we were in fact the only ones. We might be the first. There might have been a long line in other areas, but I don't have evidence to conclude that it is in fact the case that there are aliens. But the aliens claim, even the absurd claim that they're repeatedly, continually visiting us on Earth, which we have good reason to think is wrong, is still more believable than a God claim because it doesn't necessarily include anything supernatural. It's all natural. This, hey, we've got spaceships and there's life that's evolved in other places and they make it here. We don't have to violate the laws of physics and appeal to magic and the supernatural to come up with aliens. And so until such time as somebody demonstrates that the supernatural is real, it is by default less of a probable solution than, from our perspective, than the natural.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Do I have time for one more question?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm 21 right now. So I'm fairly young, but I'm trying to word this right. I'm pretty firm in being an atheist now. Like now I realize that even if the God of the Bible was true, I don't see him as a God worth worshiping just because of his character described in the Bible. But I live with my grandmother at the moment, and she's very religious. And I don't think she knows that I'm an atheist yet, but I just recently bought a book from Richard Dawkins, and she found it, and she's on to me now.
It's so strange that it's like, I can remember trying to hide porn from my folks, and now we're hearing from people having to hide atheist books.
Well, you are 21, right? So that's this whole adulthood thing is a deal that she's going to have to get.
Yeah, if you were old enough to be fed this crap when you were a little kid, you're definitely old enough to be able to consider other opinions.
Right. Yeah. And what I want to get to is my grandmother. She's old age. She's getting to her time, and what I feel like like, she's happy in what she believes, and, like, should I be really even trying to convince her, or should I just,
I don't try to convince my grandmother. I don't even really try to convince my parents. I mean, we had to come to an agreement to just not discuss this. They know what my views are. They know we don't agree. And they're not going to change their mind based on pretty much anything that I offer. That's not true for everybody. Dan Barker became an atheist, and his parents, also did afterwards. But you have to decide what's more important. And for me, having a good relationship with my parents and my grandparents is more important than that they believe exactly like me. Unless I had some knockdown argument that was just obvious that I knew would appeal to them, I would definitely share it. I don't know, since I don't have this argument, I don't know what their reaction would be.
Okay.
But,
My only inclination to try to change, like if I had a family member or someone like that, and to really confront them and change their minds, would need to entail, were their beliefs causing them to live their lives in ways that were destructive to themselves and others? And at that point, I might step in and try to really. But if you don't want to talk about grandma who sits in her chair and does crosswords and knits and is very charming and makes lovely brownies, and really isn't hurting a soul, it's I would much rather have a wonderful relationship with my grandmother in the time she has left. It's about
being open and honest. You should probably be willing to discuss it if they express an interest and want to. And if they express an interest in not having the discussion, then you should respect that, because you don't owe anybody an explanation. They don't owe you an explanation. And I'm completely in agreement with Martin, and I'm very glad he brought that up, because we have just, in the past couple of weeks, another couple incidents of people whose kids are now dead because they opted for prayer instead of actual medicine. And if I had family members who were putting their own health or the health of their kids at risk over opting for religious beliefs instead of real science, I would step in, and probably even more forcefully if they were doing it. If they chose to do this for themselves, I would definitely step in and show them I care, trying to point them to the science. But if they do it to their kids, I'm definitely stepping in to the full extent of the law, including trying to get those kids taken away, because I'd rather lose a relationship with an aunt and uncle than lose a niece and nephew permanently. That stuff's despicable.
Yeah, there's definitely a time you need to step in. I agree.
Fortunately, the overwhelming majority of believers don't fall into that category. These are the Easter, Christmas, Jesus loves me, let me slap a American flag on my car and vote for whoever's opposed to abortion, which is a problem. But it's not the same.
Now, you've said that since your grandmother has found your stash of atheist porn, it is possible. Now, you are now possibly facing a scenario where maybe this is a little troubling to her, and I think at that point, I think you could just make it known that, hey, if you want to talk about this, and if you have any questions for me, if you want to know why I'm doubting religion or have chosen to, forsake religion and be secular, I'm perfectly delighted to answer any questions you may have and have a lovely discussion over breakfast or what have you, a conversation about it.
You might be in for a surprise as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who, when they open up about these things, they find out that even some of the people who they thought were pretty religious really aren't. And it'll be, oh yeah, I kind of always suspected it was bullshit, but I kept going anyway, or everybody else in the family was there and I didn't want to be the one to buck that, the horsehair.
I think the one thing that if you have that discussion, the one thing that she will discover that might be a concern to her at the moment is that, oh, lo and behold, you're still you.
Yeah.
You are thinking about things differently, but you're still her grandson, and you're the same person, and nothing's really changed there. But now you have something else to be open with one another about, and that's an improvement upon the relationship.
It's really hard to look at a group of people as if they are evil and the enemy when you happen to love one of them.
Yeah.
Which is why we now have marriage equality in the United States. Because after forever and a day of trying to vilify people because they happen to be attracted to people of the same gender.
There's still, a good chunk of the country who would very much turn back.
In a heartbeat. But I also saw a study saying that there were, I'm not going to cite the study because I haven't verified it, but evidently there are some people who who think the Emancipation Proclamation was a mistake. But I'm hoping that this was an article that Snopes can debunk, because I'm terrified that a percentage this high of any subset of American population.
Let's just say that recent months have led me to think that there is no degree to which I can.
There are always going to be people who do and say terrible things. Anyway,
People can be.
by all means, we wish you all the luck. You have to, be as open as you're comfortable with. You're the one who decides what works best for your relationships in cooperation with the other people who are in those relationships. Feel free to email. You can also look for Recovering from Religion organizations to maybe meet up with some other people who are in a similar situation. And call back sometime. Let us know how it's going.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Take care.
Yep, have a good one.